Big cuts underway in the NFL as they get close to that 53-man roster. Georgia, they have a new starting quarterback or quarterbacks. Ooh. And yeah, the Clowney sweepstakes is on, and we might get an answer by the end of the weekend. So, holy moly, this is not PTI. That's right, not part of the interruption, because I am not interrupting. You're actually seeking out news, and I'm presenting the news. Therefore, I am not interrupting anything, but you get the concept. If you didn't know, now you know. What's crack-lacking? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. That's very key. Need to see them thumbs up. And go ahead, comment. Let me know what you think about these subjects in the comment section below, because that's what it's there for. It's called the comment section. Make a comment. But let's go ahead. Let's dive into the big cuts, because there are a lot happening. And let's start with my Dolphins. Josh Rosen, the Dolphins, they basically took that second round pick. Lush, there goes Tata. Not necessarily. I think it was worth a shot. He was a first round pedigree quarterback. You spent a late second round pick on him. It's fine. It didn't work out. They couldn't get anything back as far as it sounds like in a trade. So I think it's fine. That's not that big of a deal. We knew Tua and Fitz Magic would be the well, one's a starter and one's the eventual future starter, how I see it right now. So no big deal. But Mohamed Sanu was a bit surprising earlier this week with the Patriots, that they literally took that second round pick and was like ta-ta, which was kind of wild. But I mean, I guess they're looking for more explosion on the from a receiver, but I mean, they don't have it on their roster, so I don't know where they're gonna go seek and find it. Also, we have, let's see what other ones we got going on. What other big cuts? I mean, the Jaguars are basically saying ta-ta the whole team. We'll get to Leonard Fournette in a minute here, but they weren't able to trade him, and they were like, all right, go have fun on another team, and now he's vying for a Super Bowl ring. They made the trade for, or at least they traded away Yannick Ngakoue and Ronnie Harrison. So they're making moves. A lot of people think they're tanking, but we'll get to that at the end, and we'll talk about that. But I mean, Tennessee, they got rid of Greg Joseph. They went what they're going with. Who's their kicker actually right now? It's the Patriots' old kicker, so not necessarily a bad cut. I actually like that. Todd Davis was pretty huge, the middle linebacker for the Denver Broncos. So it looks like they're gonna go ahead with in the middle. I'm thinking Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson, which I have no problem with. They do have Mark Barron on the roster as well. But Josie Jewell, he's more, to me, he is more than just a special teams guy. He was a starter before, like, just losing his job after getting hurt, which was, I thought it was kind of eerie. But, I mean, it's good to see him potentially back into the starting lineup for the Broncos. I think he is a very, very good player. They got rid of what is it? Isaac Yiadom. They yeeted him, which not big. That was to be expected. The Raiders, though, surprisingly got rid of Demarius Randall, and now it's like, okay, who do you have as your deep safety? Because I mean, it's not going to be Jonathan Abram. Abram. That dude's a box safety. I called that during that draft, that he is a box safety. He should be treated as such. I didn't think it was a first round pick. But hopefully he has a healthy season. So I guess that falls on, it's not gonna be, it shouldn't be Jeff Heath. That guy is below average even as a starter. It's probably gonna be Eric Harris, who actually shined a little bit last season. And he played a good deal of free safety. He had that banger against Phillip Rivers. So that'll be interesting. They got rid of Prince, so it looks like they're confident in Damon Arnett, which that's fine in its own right. The Chargers, they got rid of a bunch of I don't want to say nobodies. They're not nobodies, but nothing of consequence, I think. I mean, Andre Patton might have been the biggest one, and so now there's this big concern about the wide receiver depth, but I don't think it's that bad there. As far as the Cowboys getting rid of HaHa Clinton Dix was interesting. I guess they're really high on Darian Thompson. And they also apparently moved Reggie Robinson to safety as well, which I'd be interested because I thought he was a bit of a raw prospect, but really could develop into a very good starter at corner. So it's interesting that they moved him to safety. So I'm curious how that might end up working out, at least in the future. The Eagles made a variety of cuts. A lot happened in the playmaker actually department. Andre Killens, probably the biggest name there. Michael Warren, I won't be surprised if he makes the practice squad. And Adrian Peterson probably being perhaps the biggest name here outside of Leonard Fournette, because now who assumes the starting role for the Washington football team? And boy, I hate calling him that. Get a name, dude. Get a name, Washington. Get a name. But I mean, I guess what is it going to be? I mean, Antonio Gibson, I think they're going to move him around a lot. So I think Peyton Barber actually ends up getting a majority of the carries there. But like after Barber, they don't really have a dedicated running back. Bryce Love, I guess, but will he be able to stay healthy? J.D. McKissick, he's more of a pass catcher at the running back position. And Antonio Gibson could be used in that facet as well. So it'll be interesting. I think Peyton Barber might end up getting a majority, at least early on, a majority of the carries. But a lot of people are high on Gibson in fantasy. If you haven't drafted yet, his stock is like super, super high. I think if you haven't drafted it yet at this point, I would not buy into the Gibson hype, at least right now. Because just keep in mind, this is not a great offense for the Washington football team. Oh, I hate that name. The Washington insert W logo here. But let's look at some other stuff going on around the league. Anthony Zettel, I thought was a bit surprising for the Vikings, but they got a lot of depth actually on that defensive line, so not too surprising. Matt Gay, I thought may have been probably the most surprising. I guess they're gonna give the job to was it Ryan Scope? Like, I'm bad at pronouncing names, but he used to be, I believe, the Kansas City kicker some time ago, and now he's been a bit of a journeyman. Looking, he was with Kansas City for a little bit, and then actually spent a lot of time with Tennessee. So yeah, I mean, he's a veteran kicker, so it's fine. I'm just surprised they gave up on Matt Gay so quick, but I guess it is what it is. Going on, Hakeem Butler, kind of a big one. They spent a 4th round pick on him. A lot of people thought he may have been a 1st rounder. I thought he was a very raw prospect. The guy, he didn't have great route running skills. He was a bit on the slow end. And I thought he was definitely elevated by Brock Purdy. So it's not surprising. That's a very good wide receiver room there. So I won't be surprised to see him on the, what do you call it, the the practice squad list. And I mean, for the most part, those are probably the biggest releases thus far. I know there's a bunch of other ones. Like, I was kind of surprised that the Rams parted ways with Adonis Alexander. He was a guy I was a little not high on, but I thought it was a guy that could maybe carve out some type of role in that secondary. So I'm a little surprised at that. But I mean, for the most part, I don't think Adrian Peterson was probably the biggest jaw dropper. Randall, close second. But let's go ahead. Let's move on. Mitch freaking Trubisky is been named the starter for the Chicago Bears, and I think that says more about Nick Foles. I mean, Nick Foles, hey, if Trubisky struggles, Foles is going to be right there, hopefully to put on maybe an Eagle-esque season. I really doubt it, though. I think he may have just been a product of a very, very good team. But I mean, Trubisky, what do you have in him? A very inaccurate quarterback who gets sacked a lot. He was sacked 38 times last season, which was 9th most in the NFL. 23 of those were caused by him, which was most in the NFL. He's a guy that he just, I mean, I get you don't trust your pocket. The pocket hasn't been, or at least the offensive line hasn't been really great there, especially at the tackle position. But man, you really want to see a better pocket presence. So I don't know, maybe he plays better this year. A lot of people try to point to his rookie season. being pretty darn good, but keep in mind that they weren't really open to the playbook. It was very simplistic the way they were using him. And even then, I mean, 2018 he was actually pretty darn good too, but again, a majority of it was his ability to scramble. And even then, he is literally the last 3 seasons, he's been the quarterback that has forced the most sacks upon himself. So you got a guy that will give up yardage. No holding call, no nothing. He sits there and he takes sacks. Or he'll roll out and he gets sacked. So, I mean, I know there's some Trubisky truthers out there. I'm not one of them. If he ends up doing well, then that's great. But keep in mind, this was a guy who came in and he kind of fit this old school prototypical, he's a big guy with nice mobility. He's got an NFL ready arm, but it was all 1 year of production. And you could be like, well, Joe Burrow. And it's like, nah, it's very different, because Trubisky, he wasn't necessarily the best passer, even in college. This was some stuff that they were hoping to develop. I don't know. I think I've said enough about Trubisky here, but let's go ahead. Let's talk about Bruce Arians and the Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, he's ring chasing now. Tom Brady's on the Bucks. Sign me up. And the Patriots were calling too. They were like, hey, come over here. Oh, no Tom Brady? No, thank you. But despite this, Bruce Arians still claims that Rojo, Ronald Jones, is the starter. And that's hard to believe. I think we will see more of like what we saw last year with Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones. It's going to be kind of a give and take. So I think it's going to be split, not necessarily maybe right down the middle, but it will be close. Let's pull up what specifically the snap count and such were between Jones. I mean Jones, he did end up having a little over 18, or it was 18 more carries than Barber, which was nice. But I mean, Barber was right there as far as never mind. I was looking at the wrong thing. But obviously Jones was a better receiving back. I mean, he's actually one of the best after the catch running backs in the league. So I do expect him to be a lot on passing downs a lot. But it's going to be very interesting. Will we see maybe like a Sony Michel, James White type of relationship here? I don't know. That's yet to be seen, but I find it very, very interesting at this point. And I wouldn't be like, for me, I wouldn't be jumping like in fantasy wise. I won't be jumping on either of these guys. I think there's guys with better upside and a little more, how do I say this? There's a little more clear cut on how they're going to do in 2020 opposed to this, where it's like, I really like trying to figure out this backfield's kind of scary, because keep in mind Shady's there too. So we'll see. But Jamie Newman, he opted out of the 2020 season. He will actually not play a snap for Georgia, and he's going to end up going into the draft. I think he still had a lot to prove, which is a shame, but I mean, I currently have a 2nd round grade on him. I don't see that changing much, but I did want to see him be a better intermediate to short passer. We already know he's one of the most accurate deep ball throwers here. He's got good athletic ability, but I did want to see him operate a little bit more under a pro style like offense, and I was hoping to get that from Georgia, but we won't get that. So who is a starting quarterback? I know a lot of people are going to be like JT Daniels, but keep in mind he has yet to be involved in like contact practice. He's still not cleared for contact in practice. So I don't think he might necessarily be the starter week 1. So we might have to wait for the JT Daniels hype to really get going, because I know a lot of people are pretty hype on him. I mean, he's got some good, there's a lot to like about JT Daniels, but I kind of want to see it more. He suffered I believe it was ACL tear week 1 last year for USC. So it'll be interesting. He will take the field for Georgia this year, make no mistake about it, but I don't think he'll be the starter. against, I believe, Arkansas is their first game. Yes. But I mean, keep in mind, there's still a lot of time left because they don't play till the 26th. So there's still a lot of time for JT Daniels to be ready to go week 1. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think the favorite here is going to be actually Carson Beck, who Kirby Smart actually has a liking towards, which I think is fine. He came in early in the spring. He was actually able to practice during their bowl. During their bowl game. So he's been involved. Keep in mind, he's been involved with this offense, with the team since January. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Carson Beck take the start against Arkansas, because let's be honest, it's Arkansas. Do you really need to throw out JT Daniels right away? I don't think you really need to. And I mean, their next game against Auburn, I think more so that's when maybe JT Daniels takes the reign. But I think Carson Beck will end up being the starter initially. But we'll see. There's still a lot of time left before the season starts. Let's go to the Clowney freaking sweepstakes. Right now, it sounds like a 3-horse race here. 3-team race between the Saints, the Titans, and the Seattle Seahawks. Mike Vrabel, he's already come out and said that they've made their offer. They made their bid to Clowney. And it sounds like he's going to be going around the price of 1 year, $10 million, 10 to 11 million. So it's going to be a 1-year deal, probably anywhere he goes. He's waiting for, and he said this, he's been advised to wait till after a variety of cuts have happened this weekend to make a decision. So we might find out where Clowney goes maybe Monday to Tuesday-ish. In a perfect world, hopefully that all happens. The Saints, they've been trying to find a way to clear cap space for him. I don't think they necessarily need to, and I think they're probably the team out of those 3 least likely to land Clowney. Because I mean, it's not like the Saints is like, hey, if you're ring chasing, you should come with us. Because you could say the Titans, they were just a game away from the Super Bowl last season. So there's a lot of sex appeal, like playoff appeal, Super Bowl appeal, ring appeal, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, with the Titans. And the Seahawks, they're kind of a known commodity. They're always a contender. They just added Jamal Adams. Dunbar's been cleared to play. That defense, especially that secondary, is looking a lot better. And he could come and return there with the defense he already knows how to play in. Doesn't really need practice. Doesn't really need to go through a camp or such. He's already familiar with the scheme. So honestly, I think the Seahawks might be the favorite here for Clowney. I think I would put the Titans second, just because, I mean, they've been the name that's been bounced around the most, and the Saints kind of just emerged this week as a potential contender for Clowney. But still, I mean, that cap room is kind of woof. But I mean, I think Marcus Davenport was actually very, I don't want to say very good. You could see him starting to develop into a very solid player. And I think next to Cameron Jordan, he's fine. They don't need to bring in Clowney. So the teams that really need him are the Titans, are the Seahawks. While I think maybe the Saints are a better contender, I honestly, I think a return to Seattle makes all the sense in the world. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the Jags tanking, because it kind of feels that way. But Minshew says he ain't buying that crap. He won't let it happen. And I hope Uncle Rico's right. I really, really like Uncle Rico. But they have made some moves where it's like, oh no, we were just clearing cap space. That makes it seem like they're tanking. I mean, the Calais Campbell went for what? Just a 5th round pick. AJ Boye for a 4th. They got rid of Jalen Ramsey earlier in the season. Which that was actually a pretty darn good haul. Rodney Harris just went for a 5th rounder, and also you have Yanni Ngakoue. He left town they got a 2nd rounder, and if the Vikings end up winning the Super Bowl somehow, they get a 3rd rounder, and he has to be a Pro Bowler. A lot of like that 5th rounder could really jump depending on how the Vikings and how Yannick does. But you gotta get this feeling, like it feels like a tanking season. Like, I don't think there's really any other way to feel about it. because the Jaguars, they have really made no moves to improve the roster outside of grabbing some players they could hope to develop. Because like if you come in and think CJ Henderson's gonna just change that secondary, then you're wrong. I still like DJ Hayden in the slot. He's actually one of the better slot receivers in all of football, which is actually surprising. A lot of people probably can't believe that. But then you got Trey Hurd on right now on the other side. It looks like he's basically gonna be maybe Tremaine Brock if he makes the roster. But I mean, Herndon, the guy he's a man corner through and through. Jaguars, they ran the least amount of man coverage last year. Yeah, maybe that could change. We'll see. But that secondary is really going to be the Achilles heel. And then they're going to probably be relying on a rookie to play strong safety, play box safety after Ronnie Harrison's gone. It's either going to be Daniel Thomas or even J.R. Reed, who fits that role. Even though J.R. Reed, I think Thomas might end up being the better run defender, which, let's be honest, a lot of the problems there started with the run game. Will that get any better this year? I don't know, but we'll see. But it sounds like Minshew's like, nah, dude, we're not tanking. I won't let this happen because he knows his job's on the line. He knows if they get that first or second overall pick, it's Fields, it's Lawrence. Shoot, I almost don't feel safe if it's in the top 10 because I mean, if they're swayed by Trey Lance, it's like Minshew's out of there. Like, I don't know. I do have some hope with the Jay Gruden offense. Like, I think he's going to do... I think this fits Minshew perfectly. They brought in Ben... what was it? McAdoo. It's McAdoo. There we go. Who's kind of a quarterback whisperer, if you want to say. But I think the Gruden, he's going to be the play caller. I think that's going to do a world of greatness for Minshew because he's going to bring in this more modern West Coast offense they're going to make reads on quick slants. They're going to have like an outside zone scheme. They're going to attack the short to intermediate, but they will take shots. That's the thing. Minshew, he's a calculated, I guess, shot taker. He takes like last season was very successful down the field. He went what? Got to do math real quick. Yeah, math. So he was 24 of 49 going downfield. And when he did that, it was 5 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. So if you're taking calculated shots downfield, I think that's fine. That's going to be great. You got DJ Chark, who's phenomenal at that. They brought in Laviska Shenault, who I think they're going to keep at least they're going to keep it simple with him. And because something that this team like did not do well, they were terrible in the screen game. And Shenault, the dude is phenomenal. He had 27 broken tackles on receptions in 2018. He's a very deadly playmaker with the ball in his hands, especially off the screen. That's how Colorado used him a lot of the time, and I think we could expect that at least in the infancy of Laviska Shenault's career. They also got D.D. Westbrook, who just rips it from the slot. He's very good in that short to intermediate. So I think all is not lost. A lot is going to be relying on that offensive line, which let's be honest, Cam Robinson, that's the weak link, dude. Like he's like, okay, he's a run block and tackle, and even in run blocking last year, he was terrible. I don't know how he will fit in this zone offense. I mean, they have Ben Barch, but they haven't devoted a lot of time to him at tackle in camp. He's kind of switched between tackle and guard. So, I mean, it's going to be Robinson's job to lose, but there's really nobody behind him that I feel comfortable with, at least right now. So it's going to be interesting, but I think how Jay Gruden likes to utilize his tight ends are like their vertical threats, mismatch nightmares. He did it with Tyler Eifert in Cincinnati. He had Vernon Davis in San Fran. He had Jordan Reed in Washington when he was healthy. He even had Vernon Davis actually in Washington too. So you might be like, okay, Tyler Eifert, that's a guy he's very familiar with. I think we might get good opportunity to see Josh Oliver, a guy that they drafted out of San Jose State. The year before, he kind of had an injury-riddled rookie year. So it was basically a red shirt. But he is very athletic, a guy that I really think can stretch the field. They do have O'Shaughnessy, but I think he's more of a red zone, traditional blocking type of tight end. So I think Tyler Eifert will get probably a majority, but I think Josh Oliver really has an opportunity to break out in this offense. I'm kind of excited. I think this offense, because they're going to need to score. They're going to need to score. So Minshew, it's really an uphill battle for him, and I'm really pulling for him. I'm an Uncle Rico believer, dude. I'm an Uncle Rico believer. Believe that. I don't know. See, he's got me all messed up on words. But hopefully that all comes to fruition and they don't necessarily draft their next quarterback. Hopefully Minshew is, at least they're going to give him a fair shot and build around him. But we'll see about that. But that's it for the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And of course, till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.